Hey there, Patrick from Ollie here, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite websites, which is earth.nullschool.net. And I check this thing out almost every day, especially if I want to see what the weather's doing, but also kind of when I'm curious about what's going on around the rest of the world. So when you first open this website, you're presented with a globe, and on the globe you'll see a whole bunch of swirly bits floating around. And that is actually the wind patterns on the surface of the planet. And this animation is generated from the data that comes out of the supercomputers that we use to predict the weather. So those computers create a model every 3 hours with what they predict the weather will be. And so this website is updated whenever those model outputs come out. So depending on when you look at this website, it will look very different from hour to hour. So when you first want to explore, you can use your mouse or your finger to move the globe around. And you can either use your scroll wheel or your fingers to zoom in and out on certain points. So for example, we're looking at the North Pacific Ocean right now, and you'll notice some really fascinating wind patterns. Now, if you tap or click on a point on the globe, a little green circle will appear, and then also a little box in the lower left corner. And that box tells you the latitude and longitude of the point that you selected, but also the angle and the speed of the wind. So that's not 295 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius, that's 295 degrees from north. So when we're talking about wind direction, if you look at a compass, north is 0 degrees, east is 90, south is 180, and west is 270. So the angle of the wind is actually where the wind is coming from. So in this case, the wind is coming kind of from west-northwest, and so it's about 295 degrees on the compass. If we were to pick another point, say up here for example, the wind is coming from the east, or about 70 degrees. The next thing you're looking at is the speed of the wind, and the default is in kilometers per hour. But if you tap on the units, you can see it also in meters per second, in nautical miles per hour or knots, and in miles per hour. Since we're talking mostly about science though, we're going to switch back to kilometers per hour. If you're done looking at the data and you just want to look at the pretty visualizations again, you can click the X in that box and the point will disappear and you're back to the basics. So one other thing I wanted to point out before we go is if you look down here at Hawaii, well, this is something really neat. This is surface wind patterns, right? So this is how the wind is moving around right at sea level basically. And here in Hawaii, you can see that the wind is actually wrapping around the big island of Hawaii. It's almost like Hawaii is this big rock sitting in the middle of a stream and the water is just kind of flowing around it. And actually, if you really zoom in, sometimes you can see little eddies of wind forming around islands like this. So you can see this in a lot of islands around the South Pacific, but also sometimes some of the mountains on land. So that's the basics of earth.nullschool.net. And in the next video, we're going to get into the main menu and all of the other things that you can do with this website. Thanks for watching.